with Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar, saying that there is a monkey business with the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway. You try to address some of the issues about cost, about process, and all of that, but you did not address the big issue that Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar, PDP presidential candidate, raised with regard to the fact that that project is about personal interest. He said, to start with, the contractor, High Tech, belonging to Chaguri, is a friend and a business partner of President Tinubu. He also raised the issue about the project beginning from Lagos, 47.47 kilometers in Lagos. In the interviews that and the responses that you have made, you didn't address that. Please, can you bring us up to date about how policy is being made to promote personal interest, and also some of the points you made about cost and process?
Well, thank you so much, Abati, and good morning, Nigerians. I wouldn't have much to say because you can't place, something on nothing. When you say that the project is about personal interest, there's contradiction there. Because he said that His Excellency, former Vice President, he said that the Jonathan administration, wanted to do that project, and he put a cost, I think, about 12-point-something, billion US dollars. So, whose interest was that administration promoting and wanting to do the project?
No, Mr. Ononuga, Bayo Ononuga, already said it's a new project that President Jonathan did not start it, that President Buhari did not touch it.
You asked me a question based on what I'm addressing, what the man said. Because if you say that, if you take the fact that it's a new project, then it means that the question will not arise. So I have to answer based on his assertion, and he ran figures. And I don't want to disagree with the spokesperson because I have a design from NDDC on that project. There is a design, and I have the cross-section here. There's a cross-section of the design of NDDC. NDDC, designs, quite bulky. They can fit this room. So when I was reviewing the design, the one we are implementing, I had to call for that design. So I can say that there is a design. And then you now come up again and say that Buhari administration renegotiated the project to 1 billion US dollars, whose interest, was the administration promoting? And I think that they wanted to do this project, it may be right by saying there's a difference between Federal Ministry of Works and then NDDC. But it's all the federal government, projects. So there is actually a design from NDDC, but I cannot confirm the costing, but I want to take his costing, to run figures. I'm here to run figures about, so that is about that issue of personal interest. I know very well that the coastal road, was, initiated. The idea came from the ingenuity of Mr. President when he was governor. And so he procured the right of way within the Lagos corridor, okay? And then gazetted it. We will come to that. But the reason for the project taking off now is all about how we can, inject some activities. If you want to, come out of inflection, you have to look at infrastructure, investment in infrastructure. And that's exactly what that project is addressing. It's addressing a lot of elements on return on investment. So there's no personal interest, associated with that. So I agree with him that this past administration tried to do the projects, but they could not do the projects because I have the design here. The design of that project is here. Then number two, It's quite petty to say, why is it starting from Lagos? You didn't call it Calabar, Lagos Coastal Road. You called it Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road, which means that there is a 0 point. We have Chene Zero. And the Chene Zero happens to be at Ahmad Bello Way. And it coincides with the Eco-Atlantic. So that's the coincidence. So I'm starting the project, I've started the project at Chene Zero, which is Ahmad Bello Way, and it's progressing. As of today, I can tell you that about 80% of the first 1.3 kilometer is completed. So that is the answer to the two questions that you asked me.
One of the issues raised by Waziri Adamawa is that there was no competitive bidding. So talking about personal interest, question. Yeah, he was saying that President Tinubu just handed over the project to his business partners. That's the big issue. And then in terms of the thing beginning from Lagos and all that, Landmark, the owners of Landmark have been saying they just want to...
Take me small.
No, there are many issues. You are going to be here for 1 hour. No,
my brain is not as hot as yours.
We are going to be with you for 1 hour. They say their building is just going to be demolished, and they are also asking questions.
Let's address the Landmark issue differently, because there was this other issue you raised.
About competitive bidding.
Very competitive bidding, very, very instructive, In the Procurement Act, which is an act of the Parliament, the act of National Assembly, you have a section of that law that allows you to procure a particular project based on the skills a company has. And I give you example. In the Toman Bridge that we are doing, all you are seeing is what we are doing on the deck. That we have a lot of work going on under the deck, underwater works. And we invited Julobeja because they have specialty in that aspect of work. So we invited them based on Procurement Act. And so the way you are doing such invitation, there must be proof of track record of a company that has done such works. And so they gave us a quotation. We ran the sea with them. We showed them what we observed. They showed us what we observed. And don't forget that in 2013, ISCON, company from Italy was invited to, do some assessment of the deterioration of some of the underwater works. And in 2019, they also reviewed it. And so based on those two, we invited Julobeja. And we said, look, you have the competence to do this. And so they quoted, we negotiated. They are doing that work now. Nobody's complaining. Now, when it comes to this coastal route, we are looking at two things. One, the design of NDDC was based on a flexible pavement. You don't do flexible pavement when you have high water table. The coastal route is just the ocean there. And so you have, high water table, which is not friendly with asphalt. So what we are doing is reinforced concrete. People say we are doing decking on the road. And that's what we're doing, using wide 20 millimeter rods, and then 250 millimeter, thickness of concrete and grade 40. And so we looked at a company that has been able to, fight the ocean surge. And you recall, Abati, I'm sure you were traveling up and down that time with Mr. President, that there was a time that the entire via was almost sacked by, the flood from the ocean. And they devised all solution until this high-tech came and then provided solution. In fact, the former governor, the president now, insisted that there could be solution. And with courage and, of course, the grace of God, they got that. I took the National Assembly people there. You don't have any. In fact, it is an advantage because not only that they stop the flooding, along that, axis, they're also, they're able to also reclaim a lot of land, and it's another Dubai. That's a different thing altogether. So we looked at that. We looked at a company that has so far demonstrated capacity, and competence in terms of reinforced concrete routes. And then what comes to mind is the solution that we've gotten from Dangote, high-tech, tax credit, program, whereby we solve the problem of Apapa Oshodi road. You know how terrible that road is, defied all kinds of solutions. But right now, you go there, you'll be very, very happy. There is no crack, and it's taking static loads. Our roads are not designed to take static loads, But you have, hundreds of trucks parking there, and we've not experienced any crack. We go to the deep sea port, we see what Dangote and high-tech people are doing, in terms of reinforced concrete, road pavement. And so we put this thing together. And so under the EPC plus F, which we also used, in Abuja to Makurdi, by China Harbor. And nobody has queried that. We also have the EPC plus F, from Makurdi to Ninth Mine in Enugu State. It is also done by China Harbor. Nobody has queried that. So what is wrong that we discover a company that has competence in fighting ocean surge, and then, reinforced concrete, technology, which is the best solution, and that's what I'm also advocating, especially in the southeast, part of North Central and even part of North, that it has 50 years to 100 years lifespan. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. But beyond that...
Yeah.
And I would like you to address some of the policy issues. I raised the question of landmark.
Okay.
What is the truth about the matter? And then secondly, you are very enthusiastic about Third Mainland Bridge. You've done a good job with Third Mainland Bridge. I've written a piece about it. I went on the road. I like it.
Thank you.
Both above water and underwater. I don't know what you people are doing underwater, but at least what I can see as an ordinary man, I like it. You are also going to Qatar Bridge. Are you doing all of this because you want to please President Tinubu? If you do Qatar Bridge, you do Third Mainland Bridge, Lagosians will be happy, Tinubu will be happy. You will go and do whatever is remaining in Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. So they will say, this is a good minister. That I would like you to address. And then this landmark issue, which is on the table.
Yes.
You and Rufai can meet later and do your calculations as scientists.
Well, the landmark issue, I'm told, and that's the claim of, Eco-Atlantic, that even where landmark, is situated, belongs to them. Okay? But that is not supposed to be my business. I went to see landmark yesterday. I had to tour that shoreline, and it's not the only one that is involved. That's me yesterday, and that's landmark. So we had a very good chat. At the end of the day, I demanded for Cook, for him to know that I came in peace. But I just went there to, understand something, His Excellency says that 12,000 jobs will be lost. And I told Landmark, by what we are doing, that no job will be lost. What could be lost is the shoreline and people that go to play at the shoreline. But his facilities are all intact because we reduced the corridor to 50 meters. And so I saw it, there is no permanent structure other than few shanties along that shoreline that is affected.
Have you recently done that? Because they were
I said I was there yesterday. You can see me with Landmark yesterday, and you can see two of us laughing. He was happy. I even offered
because you are laughing doesn't mean things are okay.
No,
it's not because I'm laughing.
I've never seen you laugh when things are not okay. No, so I told him that no job is lost. And he agreed with me because darkening this council without knowledge, just eating up the system. No single job will be lost because all his, distance are all very much intact. There is no single of them that is to be demolished. Who owns the land is not supposed to be, my problem. But the federal government, by the act, about the waterways and the recent Supreme Court judgment, gave the right of ownership of the shoreline to federal government, 250 meters. From the point of the shoreline to federal government. So, which means the land belongs to federal government. But we are interested here because we're talking about investment. And we are happy with investment. But we are taking 15 meters of that shoreline and it's irrevocable. you know. And I've told him that if you're interested in the, the waterways, you can create one on top. You can create one on top.
But that's additional cost for him. For a business he's invested about close to $200 million in already.
Yes, if I'm to sell the shoreline, I will know how much I should sell the shoreline. So I think it is out of leniency, because by that Supreme Court judgment, we should be coming back to say, hey, this land belongs to us. You know, you have to pay. So by taking that 15 meters and leaving the rest, because I'm told by my director that NIWA is the one in charge of, shoreline. So it's not under my ministry. So I should just talk as a federal government agent to procure a part of the land of the federal government to do my coastal line. And there will be magnanimity by reducing the corridor to 50 meters, just to ensure that not only his properties, but the rest of properties of people along that shoreline, including the Oba there, the Oba of that entire Oniru community, is also affected, you know. So I don't know why the landmark is, being a huge issue, because, they have dished out wrong information that jobs will be lost, that properties will be demolished. No property is destroyed, you know.
But they were markings. They were markings on properties and landmarks.
No.
They were markings.
You are right. Under international law, they see 250 meters isobar belongs to the state, So, but it's good, the explanation you have offered. But tell us the other question I asked about this excitement about
Coastal Road.
No, not Coastal Road.
No,
Toman Bridge, Kata Bridge. Okay. You just want to do everything to please President Tinubu. Say, I'm taking care of your people. In the same Lagos where they ask your own people to jump into the lagoon.
Well, I'm a Nigerian, Abati, and I don't believe in this issue of, this one is from here, this one is from here, and even when I was governor, that was my, position. Because if you want to just be, an Igbo man, God will give you a corridor within that. But if you want to be a national person, God will also give you a horizon that will cover that kind of, calling. Let me say that the Toman Bridge, the job was awarded by the previous administration. And it was awarded to an indigenous company, Plycon. And it's supposed to be limited habilitation. And the limited, habilitation almost destroyed that bridge. Well, that bridge was designed to have a dead load of asphalt of 2 inches. But over the years, you have between, 4 inches and 14 inches on that Toman Bridge. They created a super elevation that when you're driving, your vehicle will be like this, And so there were potholes, everywhere. So when we came, we had to reach understanding with the contractor, and we canceled the project. So it was not an interest of, President Tinubu. It was not me that initiated it just to please Mr. President. No, it is a national interest. I fear for the lives of the people. I love to save lives, because every opportunity you have, God has a purpose for that. And so that's why we had to now, milled out everything, and we got to the concrete deck. And then we now had to resurface. That's the design of that bridge. Okay. It was not done to please him. Now, you now talked about, the Kata Bridge and what is going below. I told you in 2013 that a study was carried out by Second. They invited them from Italy. And they checked, and they saw that some of the piers below the water are in a very terrible, situation. Because a pier is done onto, engineering, parameters. You say that a pier is pier to reach to the end bearing, whereby you meet a rock, and it will stay, it hooks on the rock. Or it is pier under skin friction. Skin friction is being held by the sand. You will never meet a rock. And that's what the Toman Bridge, the Kata Bridge, that's what they are pied on. So as we have the ocean current, undercurrent, it is, sweeping away the sand, which means that the stability of those piers are no longer there. Then you have people doing illegal mining, along the shores of within the pier distance. Even when the National Assembly, we saw people, destroying to unveil the reinforcement of the pier cap, which is what is aggregating the piers together. They are using it to anchor their boats, while they're either fishing or excavating sand. We saw that. And so in 2019, a study was also carried out to, reconfirm. So I'm building on the information I have. Okay. And I saw that both Carter Bridge and the Toman Bridge are in a very bad shape.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for the effort. And we must say that, so far, very commendable from Ministry of Works. But beyond, like Dr. Bati had mentioned, the Southwest, what are your plans for other regions? So the Enugu-Port Harcourt roads, some federal roads that have been, the project East-West roads. So what are your plans for that? And then very importantly, you talk about this huge investment in infrastructure. But one of the challenges that we have is maintenance. So we've opened the Third Mainland Bridge. It's looking beautiful. But like you mentioned, sometimes even the people themselves can be saboteurs, stealing some iron rods and doing that. What are plans to secure these investments to ensure that they're not wasted?
The Toman Mainland Bridge, we are not yet done. Like I said, the other interview, that we had an accident yesterday there. As I go out now, I'm going to set out, a building by the island within the Toman Mainland Bridge. I'm putting a kind of observation room. Within that location, we have a small jetty where we have a boat. Within that house we're building, we're going to have Navy, Army, police, and of course local security. And we have CCTV. We are going to aggregate the CCTV under that observation room. And then we have also pickups. Now, 2 people after the accident, were dropped inside the lagoon. Okay. So the rescue team was not there immediately. Okay. But if we finish what we are doing, they would have seen that accident immediately from the distance, and then the boat would have been released, and they would have known the exact spot and follow it up. Really? So that's what we're doing. Now, the infrastructure development, we are redesigning a number of infrastructure we met on ground, and I must commend Mr. President. He asked me to carry on with all the projects, first and foremost. And then we now see the priorities we are going to give them, a number of major projects, per region. And that's what you're doing on the basis of equity and fairness. Even what we are doing in Toman Mainland Bridge, we're also doing it in, Murtala Mohammed Bridge in, Lokoja. And we're also going to understudy other bridges across the nation. Some of these bridges were built 50 years ago, and so there is a need to understudy what is going on. If you have Toman Mainland Bridge to go, you will spend over 5 trillion to rebuild it. It's a national asset. It's not an asset of President Tinubu, or it's not an asset of the Lagos state government. It's not something I'm doing to please anybody. But if something goes wrong, by my pedigree and my experience, I'll be blamed very badly. Let it be that I'll procure this and I've announced, look, we have a problem and there is no money to cater for that. God forbid. Okay. Okay. So what we are doing, like in East-West Road, there are a lot of failures on East-West Road. For the reason of this thing I'm talking about, you cannot build East-West Road on asphalt. It is failing. And some of the sections were built below the flood level. So we've isolated those locations that had flood levels and they failed. I inspected that yesterday before I came to Lagos. Okay. And we are treating it, some of them, we are building multiple, say, coverts, and then building that was section on concrete. And then Eleme to Une is also another terrible situation. That project is about 15 kilometers by 2. That's 30 kilometers. And it's 156 billion. And so if you divide, it has 5 flyovers. It was not awarded by my administration. I inherited it. But I have to keep the figure, but I have to make the return on investment more, reasonable. What did I do? I redesigned it. If you see the project, you see that I'm excavating 1 meter. I'm filling back with lumps of 500. I am telling you that, if I'm to build Lagos Ibadan, I will build it on concrete, and I'll build it at 80% cost.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about money. How are you getting money for all of this? As the president, be able to allot money for you? Because we know things are tight and there are other budget considerations.
Yeah, well, majority of the projects ongoing now are inherited projects of the NNPC tax credit. Okay. NNPC tax credit, total cost as day is about 5.39 trillion. And what they're committed is 2.58 trillion. So we have a funding gap of 2.7 trillion. They say that they don't have the ability to do that. And my fear is that the job should not stop. Even though the spread of that job was not very good, because you have 27% for South, 27% for North Central, 14% for Northwest, 3% for Southeast, and the 4% for North Southwest. You know, it's not good spread, but I have to, for national interest, go ahead to conclude the project.
Can you assure us that that observation room that you say you put in Toman Bridge,
yes,
you know, will not translate into additional bureaucracy, where when we try to go onto the Toman Bridge, they will ask us for marriage certificate, birth certificate, vehicle license, and you know, whatever you may have done with the bridge will become a source of additional stress. Because, you know, you say you will put military there, you will put policemen there, you will put civil defense there. Well, please assure us that they will not be asking for certificates of birth.
But arise and be healed, and your sins are forgiven. Which one is more difficult? You know, people are concerned about having roadblocks, you know, and we are saying no more security on our roads. Everybody stays here, and if you observe anything, then you use the vehicle available or the boat to attend to that immediately. And that is what a civilized society should be doing. And that's what we are simply doing. You will not see any security man on that corridor, you know.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, just
that's
to be
good
sure.
To hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are doing that in many of our roads. That's the directive of Mr. President. We are doing that on a number of our roads. All our roads, you know, must have a, you know, a duct, so you don't cut the road again. We have a solar light. We have a prudency. That is the word. You know, prudence is the word. Okay. And even at this cost of this project, the president had once queried me, Umahi, your road project is very expensive. I said, sir, these projects are inherited and I'm reviewing down the cost.
Okay.
So we are all together on it.
Thank you.